What up, people of the outer worlds, of the outer rim, people of the outer rim,
Yes.
the outer rim planets,
Of
people of space.
Do you get a flat tire in space?
Yeah, you can get a flat tire in space, can't you?
Yeah.
Because what if your space vehicle,
You hit a space porcupine. Space cougar.
them's a bitch.
Yeah. Everything's in space, you know?
Your mom's in space.
You never know. Topic.
I don't think you heard me.
No. What is it?
Your mom's in space. Today's topic is nest theory.
Like
And,
where people make their own nest?
Thermal throttling.
Oh,
I want to talk about thermal throttling today with you.
okay.
So, Adam, what is the audience is like? They just hit pause. Hold on, wait. It means stop. Don't go. Thermal throttling. Human beings, right? Like Adam and I. We have limits.
That we hit the wall.
Yes,
Yeah.
kind of like a runner when a runner hits the wall.
Yeah.
Okay, but we have limits in our everyday lives.
Yes, to find either impatience or everything, really, right?
So you want to talk about impatience?
With patience, if you run out of patience and your limit is hit and then you just blow up on someone, you found your limit.
That's the limit.
Yeah. But if you're able to cope with it and move past it, you haven't found your limit yet.
How do you cope?
Taking deep breaths, walking away, playing a video game.
Video games is actually what I was going to talk about.
Yeah, right?
Just a little bit, guys. Thermal throttling. Okay, the theory is this. My good old friend, Mike,
Good old Mike, yeah.
he was having some problems. He was really sucking at life.
He was,
just fucking with you, Mike. I know you watch the show. Anyway, no. The thing is he's really motivated more than me. Like he's like a really on point motivated motherfucker. Mm-hmm. But what's interesting is he was burning out, and he's like, "What happened last summer? I was up at like dial up to 11. I was accomplishing all of the things that you can accomplish."
mm-hmm. He was feeling pretty good.
Yeah. And he was like, the only thing that I can think of that is different is that in the summer I was praying to the sun god. And now in the winter, I am no longer sacrificing myself to the sun god. I was sacrificing my skin on an altar of soul. And now, look at me, right? Look at me now.
Skin flakes.
You can have fun if you just know how. Wait, I don't know. What's the Dr. Seuss quote?
Oh, it's easy to have fun if you know how, yeah.
Something like that. Point is, let's figure this out. Mm-hmm. I was like, how do you maximize your load? How do you maximize your efficiency? I don't remember how I got on this, but I'm a computer engineer, so that's how we got into computers. And I was like, well, what if a computer is not running at max efficiency? You know?
Yeah. You're going the logical route.
There's several reasons that a computer could be slowing down.
Old processors, something going on, right? Whatever. You gotta get in there. Take out stuff, throw it around. Don't you?
I'm holding space for you right now.
Okay.
I want to hear your thoughts.
Well, with a computer, you just take out the part. You know, you work your way logically through it. Is it the RAM? No.
See?
Yeah.
Yep, you touched on point number 1.
Yeah.
Continue.
Is it the power supply? No. You know, you go through the steps.
That's point number... That wasn't on my list, but it's a good one.
That's a good one.
We'll talk about that.
Did you flick the power switch on and off?
That's
Did you connect the router? Right? Did you unhook the CPU, check
This
the
is,
thermal
we've
paste.
gone way off the reservation. There's nothing wrong with the router. Just leave the goddamn router alone.
No, I'm gonna fix it.
You just shut off the whole network.
I got a blowtorch and a hammer.
Yeah.
Fixing it. Doing this.
Okay, so RAM. Let's start with that.
Yeah.
Because I think this is how I actually got inspired to talk about it in the sense of computers. Because
Okay.
he was talking about his task load and just being overwhelmed. Now, normally he just, it's like he just feeds him. But now he said he had less tasks, but he was overwhelmed. Less tasks than he normally has. Fewer.
Okay.
So task overflow is something I deal with lately because lately I've been in that situation. So stack overflow. Mm-hmm. The idea that you have a certain amount of things that the mind can hold on to at a given time. And interestingly, the higher that stack is, the fuller that stack is, the less efficient things get. Mm-hmm. If I don't have a registrar or a memory location in which to insert something, I can't do an operation. Mm-hmm. I am blocked, right? And so the point that I was trying to make there, and I'm sorry for that analogy, but only a little bit. The point that I was trying to make there is that the more we have to hold on to in our minds in terms of like tasks that we have to do, the harder it is to accomplish the task that we're currently working on. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing. RAM. You touched on RAM.
Yeah.
As human beings, do we have sort of a analog of RAM? And importantly, if we do, can we increase the capacity or can we free up RAM?
And what would be the allegory for RAM in a human then? Just the brain or section of the brain?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Are we going Johnny Mnemonic on with it?
I haven't seen that movie.
Never saw that movie?
That's the one with, is that Jim Carrey?
No, Jim Carrey. Keanu Reeves.
That's who it was, Keanu Reeves, yeah.
And he was a data transporter. And they said you need to have at least 500 megabytes of RAM installed in your brain to move this, data. And he's like, did you get the upgrade? So he fakes his upgrade, and it just says, oh, I have 500 gigabytes or megabytes, and it's like, he only has like 12. But he's cramming all that data in there. And they're like, now take it to China, deliver it to them, because they need that information. But the data starts leaking in his brain and freaking him out. So he falls over, has seizures. You ever seen that movie? You should watch the movie. You're freaking me out. The Johnny Mnemonic silence.
I'm giving you space.
It's a lot of space. You give me a Walmart, grocery store worth of space.
Sounds interesting.
I'm wandering around the electronics area going, oh, that's neat. But yes. So if the human has RAM, but what would equate to RAM, the human brain?
If there's a limit, then how do you deal with that? If you have task loads that are in excess of what your mind can hold, then what do you do? What do you do? What do you do?
Well, you reorganize it. So if you have tasks coming in...
So you compress it. So this is one strategy, right? You compress it.
You can either compress
defrag.
it... Kind of. I guess you could use that as a thing where you take breaks. Let's call that defragging.
No. That's I'm going to go into that one.
Okay.
But this is new. Defrag is new. I didn't think about defragging.
Okay.
Defragging is an optimization, right? It's just...
Reorganizing?
Yeah, you reorganize your brain.
Or your workspace. Or your day. Right?
I don't see... Let's skip defragmentation. I don't see how that could work. But it's an interesting thought. What I was talking about is garbage. So there's a phrase... There's a phrase in computer science, and this phrase is garbage collection. If you cannot expand the amount of capacity in your mind to keep track of tasks without overstressing the system, then what if you can clean... what if a bunch of that space is being wasted? What if you can optimize it by getting rid of waste? If you have garbage in your mind, then you need to garbage collect it.
And you just get rid of it, but it's still in there.
It's a thing, guys, ladies, gentlemen, aliens. What is it?
Anthropomorphs?
Anthropomorphic
Xenomorph.
beings of the Qui-Gon Jinn galaxy.
Qui-Gon Jinn. He was a Star Wars character.
I want to talk about garbage collection with you, Adam.
Yes. So you're saying get rid of any non-useful information at the time.
Yes.
But it's still in your mind. So, like, let's say you have...
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Unless it isn't. Can you force it out of your mind?
No, you're always going to remember it. You're always going to remember, like you earlier had a song stuck in your head.
Yeah.
And you kept repeating it over and over again. So... Can you expunge that? No.
Now I'm trying to remember the song.
I see.
And I can't. So you're wrong, Adam. It's been expunged.
No, it's still there. You're going to remember it 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
At 4 a.m.
That's fine. The point is I don't have to think about it right now.
Not right now, but it's still in there.
And there's a reason.
Yeah.
Something has demanded my focus.
What's that?
This is how you garbage collect. Your lizard has a brain.
Yeah.
And the brain is the lizard brain.
The human brain.
The human brain has a lizard brain. It has an ancient brain. This brain is consumed only with survival. This brain gets stressed only when survival is on the line. This brain doesn't give a fuck about the future. This brain... This is... What?
Nothing. I was going to say, this lizard brain. So do you remember, like, ancient Mayan sacrifices from your lizard brain? Have you expunged that?
Yeah.
Just, again, 4 more weeks, you're from there and you're you wake up, you're like, oh my God, I forgot the sacrifice. And then your brain's like, wait a minute, what sacrifice? What are you going on about? Right?
I'm giving you space.
Again, that's like 4 aisles of space, you know? I'm in the bread section now.
What kind of bread you getting?
I'm getting that artisanal. You know, you ever had that? That's Sara Lee.
That's what I like.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's a good choice.
It's got the nice soft.
I'm glad I gave you that space. Yeah,
it's make an egg sandwich out of it.
Eggs are good for you, man.
Yes.
I don't know about egg sandwiches, but eggs are good for you.
Egg.
Egg. Okay.
But yes, removing...
What were we talking about? I totally just garbage collected everything.
Yes, okay, garbage is the ability to focus at the time, right?
That's the thing, is if you demand focus, your brain only has a limited number of power, an amount of power. And so what's interesting is you can force the brain to let go of information in one sector by diverting the power to another sector. The brain does this naturally. It only has so much... It has a huge amount of capacity, but it only has so much power. It is power bound. Power is our brain's bottleneck. So if you can divert power to something more critical, the brain will actually be forced to release something else.
Yeah.
So this is what I suggest you do as a form of garbage collecting.
Okay.
First, write down everything that's important because you're going to forget it. That's the whole point.
Okay, so everything is written down.
You write it down. Ironically, because you wrote it down, you've persisted it into like deeper memory stores, and so you won't forget it. But you're going to forget it in the short term.
Yes.
Okay? And you'll need to look at those notes to remember, right? So, this allows you to garbage collect safely. This is how you safely garbage collect. Because what you're going to do is you're going to power cycle the router. Okay?
I'll get the blowtorch.
This is where you come in.
Yeah.
Okay. If you divert power to another organ or another sector in that organ, there's a couple ways you could accomplish this. The point that I'm trying to make is if you divert power, the brain is forced to drop. So what you want to do is you want to engage in an activity, right? That stresses the ever-living fuck out of your lizard rat brain.
Okay.
Okay? Go to your lizard brain, your primordial animal brain, the one that just likes to sleep, fight, eat, fuck, kill. That brain, okay? You need to feed that brain something. So stimulating. The brain is forced to shut off, and you want to do that for what, 15 minutes to an hour, 2 hours, right? It doesn't take long. Maybe a good 1 or 2 hours, right? It not every day, but at least once a week, right?
Okay, so you're saying, stop what you're doing. either log into a video game or something like that, watch some porn.
Yep, exactly. Well, here's the thing: is porn isn't stimulating enough, right? So
Not enough.
it's unfortunately, right? It's just not there yet. Okay. So here's the thing: is it ideally something it's survival? Like it really stresses the hell out of that animal brain. So video games can work, but it needs to be like something that gets your heart rate up. Like it needs to be like something where it's like very highly competitive. It can't be like Farmville.
Okay. So just have a jaguar, that you let loose every 5 days.
Yes. So what you want to do is you want to have a jaguar in your house.
Just in a cage.
Just in a cage somewhere. Don't feed it for a week. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to get in your house, clear everyone else out. It's just you. And you're just going to let it out. And then you're just going to run like hell.
And either you survive or you put it back in the cage. Either way.
I guarantee you, if you survive, you will have released all of that anxiety, okay? All of that pressure to get shit done, gone. Okay?
You don't need the gym anymore.
Yeah. Okay,
It's 5 o'clock.
Don't do the jaguar thing. I didn't mean it.
I'm already on eBay.
I do have to qualify this as a joke.
But you're saying do something.
Because I know you guys, and
active.
I know that you guys will you'll get that jaguar. Wait, what were you saying?
Just do something, not crazy like we're going to do.
Yeah.
I'm already on eBay.
There's another thing that you want to do, though. Ideally, it's physical as well. So video games can work. They can cognitively compress the garbage collect. They can garbage collect for you. Because again, but it's the whole theory behind this, by the way, is that whole Fast and Furious line where he's like, for that 10 seconds, I'm free.
Oh, okay, I get you.
It's that adrenaline pumping, like, oh, fuck, I'm going to die. That's what sucks all the power out of the gray matter area of your brain.
Yeah.
Into the deep recesses of the lizard brain. And that allows you to let go what you need to do. Right? Because then it basically just dumps everything, right?
Yeah.
Just clean wipes the entire sector, right? And then you go back later, tomorrow, the next day, and you start picking up the pieces that you need to actually work on that day, right? Because the problem is the brain holds on to shit way more than it needs to. You're thinking about shit way more than you need.
Need to. Well, okay. Let me give you
Take some space.
Okay, system crash that happens. That's a mental breakdown.
Yes.
So if you have a mental breakdown, I've seen this happen to people where they've been successful business people where they're just like, I have to keep going. I have to give the best. I have to do everything. But their system crashes and they're just like, their mind is completely wiped again. And it goes it goes back to not a good reset though.
Yeah.
It goes back to, because I've seen people where they're just like, I don't want to do this anymore. And they up and leave everything.
Yeah.
So they go out and they're homeless, right?
They completely drop.
Yeah.
They drop, family, friend connections, any obligations. They're not taking care of themselves.
They go out and they find wherever they can and they steal whatever they can and they just live off.
Fuck the system.
Yeah.
They're just there. Yeah.
So they're out there and they're still in their mind. They make up coping mechanisms. So where they're like, oh, I can talk to Elon Musk, telepathically. He's giving me information now.
Yeah.
So they're just following the voices that they think are the answer.
Yeah, or they're downloading information from the sun.
Yeah. And they're like, yes, I understand,
Yeah.
And they'll start doing like little videos at Subway at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
dancing. And you're like, yeah, that's the kind of guy we want as president. But yes. Now, if a person has a system-wide shutdown and that wipes all their data, but they still remember who they were. They still remember everything about it. They just don't want to go to that.
Yeah. Wait, that's the problem is if you go too long, and I've been there pushing so hard. It's like, I can't stop. I want to get somewhere. I want to get to station B. You know what I mean? I want to be Elon Musk, right? Like that's what I want to be.
That's your dream.
I want to be able to contribute to the world on that level.
But it's not healthy enough, to push yourself so far.
Exactly. But the problem is, if you push yourself 100% constantly nonstop, then the system has limits and we have to acknowledge those. A good fighter isn't necessarily a good fighter because he can go forever. A good fighter is good because he understands his physical limits. He knows how much time he has before he's out of breath. You know, it's like the whole fucking Born Identity thing when he's like, I know how far I can run flat out before I run out of breath. Right? They know themselves.
Yeah.
Perfectly.
To know yourself that perfectly, to be so well fine-tuned, is one side of the coin. But if you flip it on the other side, that's more of my side, where I'm just like, I don't need to know how far I'm actually going to run. You know, I don't need to know. I don't need to have the best stuff. I don't need to do the best stuff right now. I'm happy with what I can do, and I know that I don't really know where my limits would be until I actually get there. It's more of the journey. I guess it's more of like the hare versus the turtle, right? The turtle takes his time. The hare wants to get things done right away. So he just like, I want to mark this off, mark that off, mark that off. The turtle's like, I want to explore this check mark a little bit more, right? I want to take my time. But it's like, I don't need to have the best and be first, you know.
We talked about this on Splayed a little bit. I want to do a show called Relentless, a sub-show of Splayed, right? Mm-hmm. And the idea comes something from that, right? The idea that is to win at life, it is more important that you endure relentlessly, that you have stamina. That is how you win, is that you keep pressing forward, you keep working toward objectives, but you're willing to take a beat and breathe when you need it, but you keep moving forward, right? And you don't stop.
Oh, yeah.
Versus the hare who burns out
really fast,
snaps, ends up homeless.
Oh, you know the original story about the turtle and the hare?
No.
So it was the turtle had like his, there were two of them. So he would have his wife go out to the end of the race, and the hare kept thinking it was him. So he kept running back and forth until he dies. And then both the turtles dance on his grave. That's how the original story ends.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that there was an original story, let alone that it was like a Hansel and Gretel type. Yeah. Not Hansel and Gretel, but
dark.
Dark fairy tale. I mean like fairy tale, because a lot of the fairy tales that like you see the Disney version and then you learn that there's the fairy tales are usually...
Because they were written by the Grimm brothers, you know, the Grimm's fairy tales kind of stuff.
Right.
Was that Victorian age? I can't remember. Somewhere around that time.
The world is so dark. It's like that in all things. We grow up and we learn things are so much darker.
Yeah.
Anyway, decompression, garbage collection, right? Guys, it works. And every time I've done it, by the way, I have found myself more productive. I call it bursting, right? And it's just like a CPU, right? If you're running a processor at max load and it's thermal throttling to like 40%, right?
Yeah.
It's going to stay there, right? Like, you know what I mean? So you need to cool down, you need to unwind, you need to do garbage collect, take a beat. Mm-hmm. I hate the word downtime, so I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say garbage collect, right?
You can say garbage collect. You could just say mental whispering.
And here's the thing is I wouldn't even say that it is downtime. I don't think it is down because it's not about relaxing. Because relaxing, a lot of times you'll still hold on to it. I think you actually, like I said, you need to draw power from that sector of your brain so that your brain's not on and wandering and stressing about things, right? Mm-hmm. You need to do something that's enough stimulating to the mind that it draws you out. It doesn't have to be video games, but like it could be like Gone, like we said, Fast and Furious. I was gonna say Gone in 60 Seconds, but
yeah, I remember that one.
But the point is, Fast and Furious is just something that gets your adrenaline pumping. You need to get that animal brain stressed out, right? And then it needs to have a release. So you need to do something where it's like you get super stressed out, and then you get a success, and then you get a reward. And your animal brain can just like release all these endorphins, and also at the same time you're pumping energy out of the gray matter area of your brain. You're in the immediate. It forces your energy and your focus and your attention into right now. Mm-hmm. Right now.
And then, stuff.
This is the thing that we're losing, by the way, with all this COVID, with all the social distancing. Because one way to do this is social. This just going out and having a beer with the friends can be a way to do this because you're forced to engage.
Yeah, talk.
This forces you into now. Mm-hmm. Especially if this forces me into now.
In the moment.
I was going to say, especially if I throw a beer in there, but I want to be careful because obviously alcoholism can be a problem, right?
Yes. But I mean, there's different ways to... Because when you learn something and you sleep on that, you go into your subconscious, and that your brain just kind of repeats that over and over again in your subconscious. So you learn better that way by getting more sleep and getting, the information you need. Because if you do it repetitively so much once and then sleep and then do it again, you're a little bit better at it.
Go slow to go fast, guys.
Yeah.
It applies in so many areas. It applies in software engineering, right? People write bad imperative code and then, they...
Tokyo drifting.
Yeah.
You got to release the clutch when you turn the wheel right, when you're taking that right-hand curve, and you take the outside turn just a little too far. No.
No, I'm going to be honest with you, Adam. I don't know what the fuck we're talking about right now.
Good.
Tokyo drifting? Is that... Wait, I honestly didn't catch it.
Well, okay. Because you have to have quick reflexes when you...
Yes.
So doing that...
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. You're back on the adrenaline.
Yeah.
Yeah, you put us back on topic. I wasn't expecting that.
You're just like, wait, what?
I thought we were going to left field. I was in left field. You were on home plate. Hey!
Throw me the ball.
Inning's over.
We're getting the equipment. What are you doing out there?
All right, we'll catch you later.
We'll see you at Pizza Hut. But yes, so the adrenaline thing, because you have to be a quick thinker in the moment.
Yes.
But you also have to remember to take the breaks, to get away from that, do your own thing, then come back.
Yes. So garbage collect.
Yeah.
There's other human limits. Power is one of them, so making sure you get enough energy, right? I think I had more thoughts on that, but I don't remember if there was much on power. Mostly the garbage collecting thing was huge. There's other ways, right, that I was telling him that you can, like, if your task list is too high, I mean, obviously you can start dropping tasks, but that's not ideal, right? But you can sometimes see if you can get help, if you can offload. Co-processors, right? Hyper-thread, so you got laundry to do or something like that. You can kick off the laundry, kick off a load of dishes. You can kick off 3 or 4 tasks that can run in parallel, right? And then let them run, right?
What's liquid cooling?
Yeah, what is liquid cooling?
Dialysis.
Yeah, I think that. So I thought of liquid cooling is basically the analog is overclocking.
Yeah. Which
the analog for me was just like coffee. Like that's just juicing it. Like you're basically
juicing.
Which you can only do that so long. The same with.
I mean, I've noticed that with developers. When I see them, either Monster or coffee.
Yeah.
The only two.
You have to be competitive. You have to keep your mind going, 8, 10, 12 hours a day and pumping out code, right? Solving hard math problems all day. Like you kind of have to juice it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I kind of see that, but I guess it's the culture that's been built around it too from the beginning. So can you change the culture? In this world, it doesn't really matter. We're still animals fighting for scraps. Like there's a lot of structure in society built into convincing us that that's not the case anymore. But at the very bottom ground level, there are still so many seats. It's still musical chairs. There are fewer seats than there are participants. And if you want a seat, you got to drink that Monster or that coffee. You know what I mean? You got to sit up to the table. So unfortunately, that is the reality of it. It doesn't really matter if it's good culture or not, but we do have to compete. We do have to survive. Yeah. So, just society in general, I guess.
Which goes into my nest theory. That's how I got a nest theory. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Okay. We talk about darkness.
I'm happy you're happy.
Let's go to nest theory. Actually, let me just real quick see if there's anything here. Bursting, thermal throttle. I think we covered that. There's a little bit of on addiction here and satisfaction. I talked about getting a reward, how that can be kind of part of it. Giving yourself a little bit of a reward can be helpful, especially if you're working towards longer term goals, which sometimes they can put you in a state of perpetual stress or anxiety because you're never getting that satisfaction. You're constantly chasing that carrot on a stick. I talked about an episode I had. I don't know, whatever. At my work, right? This lasted a while.
You're having episodes at work?
Yeah, episodes. Well, maybe it was a little bit of a Freudian slip. The point that it did
you're
drive
just
me...
working, you're like, and next I'll slide.
Yeah. It did drive me to the limit. I had this project that needed to be done, right? And then they started pulling people off the team. Yeah. Well, problem is that pushes my throughput out, right? And then they start adding work, right? And so this project that I'm working really hard toward keeps getting further and further and further out.
Yeah, do more with less.
Do more with less, right? And so Anyway, not being able to finish, not being able to complete puts you in this like perpetual state of stress and anxiety. So you need something to be able to like step away from that, garbage collect, and then give yourself a little bit of a reward so that your body feels like it's accomplished something, right? You got to be careful with that. So try to find something that's, because it gets into addiction, and I wanted to talk about that a little bit later.
Okay.
I think I found the cause and cure for addiction. So anyway, but I wanted to talk about nest theory because we talked about this a little bit. So I've been talking a lot really fast. There's a lot to cover. Let me just open with nest theory. We still have to fight for survival.
Yeah, I mean, we have our nest, as you say. It's our home. It's where we make our living. And I've heard a theory about like marriage nesting that I'll share with that a little bit later on, or if you want to hear it now.
I want to hear it now.
Okay. So the psychologist says that the man and a woman shouldn't. Wait.
I kind of want to hear it later.
Okay, you want to hear it later?
No, I'm just fucking with you. I'm sorry, audience. I'm sorry. I tried really hard with that joke. Continue. Man and woman, psychologist.
Okay. So his theory is that men and women weren't meant to nest together.
Okay.
Because the man, has his own nesting habits. He's like, wants to play video games, wants to, hang out with his friends.
Yeah.
And then the woman wants to have her own nesting where,
I kind of want to nest with the woman.
You want to nest with a woman.
I kind of want to nest with the
You're
woman.
against what he was preaching.
Yeah, I think he's wrong there.
Yeah. But his idea was the man and woman are still married, but they live separately.
Yeah, that would be horrible.
Yeah, isn't it? 2 mortgages?
Yeah. I get it though. I know that there's guys that are like that. Like me, like I'm the guy that I don't want to go to the Halo party unless there's girls there. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's I don't know.
I mean, but taking your significant other to that.
Yeah.
Right?
Then it's fun.
If you find it fun, but some guys are like, no, I'd rather just be with my friends, They want to have the freedom, as they say.
That's weird. Why wouldn't you want to be around women all the time?
Well, I don't really have, my theory on this is like, he just wants to have 2 separate people, living their own lives and giving their own freedom, but still remaining as a couple is weird. It's like dating.
I'm gonna give it some space. I don't think I would like it, but I want to see where he's, because I think there are people who would agree with that idea, right?
Oh yeah, there's got because he's pretty popular. Because
it's an interesting theory because we are sort of different subspecies in a way, men and women, right? I mean, we're the same in that we're so different. I don't know if that didn't make any sense. I don't know
as he explained it, is that the woman wants to have the warm house, family, kids, and all stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the stuff that the man does occasionally pisses her off, and the stuff that she does occasionally pisses the man off. So he's like, separate them, like children. It
is interesting. It does create problems. I think constantly being together does put it is sort of an unnatural state. I think. I don't know if it's here's the thing: apes, like, they live in nests, right? They live together, but it's different.
Well, tribes, I would say, because they live and they move around, but
right. So, but that's different because it's tribes, so they get to sort of have a little bit of space from one another, right? Because they can go interact with someone else in the tribe.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, they can go wander around, do whatever they want, but that's the animal instinct for them, right?
Well, but I would imagine that we have similar instincts. I'd imagine they've shifted over the last 600 million years.
True.
So it's not necessarily the same. I wouldn't be surprised if we're somewhere in the middle, where it's like we've started to evolve to a species that's compatible with a traditional family structure.
Yeah.
But I don't think that we're all the way there yet. So we've got some impulses, some instincts that want to go one way, a more animal way, and then we have some impulses, instincts that are inclined to be more of a society way, and they're constantly kind of in battle. It
goes back to that, what's your limit, where do you draw the line when it comes to having nesting habits, right? Like, oh, you didn't put the toothpaste on the thing right, or you ignore me, you just really make me crazy when you chew loudly or you snore, whatever. Yeah. Rusty, I'm tired of you snoring and chewing.
I heard that one of the biggest pet peeves for a podcast was when they can hear you mouth noises.
Oh, chewing. ASMR with Rusty. Some people actually like that too.
That's weird.
That they tune into, like they hear cheese cutting slow.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
I saw 2 gremlins in the background. Hold on. It's okay. It's okay. It's not after midnight.
It's not after midnight. I can feed them all I want.
Okay, where were we?
So nesting.
So the idea was this. So I had this idea. Okay, yeah. Let's drop what you were talking about. And
Okay.
let's
Let's just stop with that.
It's interesting, man. It is interesting. I wonder if it would work. I mean, it could add like a bit of romance. The problem is that it's like if you have kids, it's not ideal.
That's the thing. He mentioned like if you have children, it's a little bit harder.
Right.
Because you have the 2 places.
I think it's one of those situations where we may not be perfectly evolved to have like a traditional, nuclear family household.
The 1950s style, yeah.
But so it may be a little bit of work to maintain that. A little bit of sacrifice in terms of what our innate desires are, right? Mm-hmm. Because our innate desires have not completely evolved to be in tune with that. So there may be a little bit of conflict, a little bit of sacrifice, but that's still probably the most efficient or the most ideal way, you know what I mean, to raise a family. And so it
meets a lot of roadblocks, right?
Yeah.
So I said roadblocks between having that ideal family, but is that the ideal family, right?
I think so.
You think so? Yeah. 1950 Eisenhower nuclear family?
Yeah, kind of. For family. I mean, I'm not sure that you know what I mean? I don't know. But yeah, for family, But
everyone's going to have their own,
once kids are involved, I think that's the ideal. You know what I mean? But
with kids, I mean, even kids, they're people too, They're going to grow up and have their own experiences.
Barring something like here's the thing is barring like abuse or something like that, right? Like there's times where it's like you got to be like, okay.
Yeah.
The ideal right now for me, within reach of my situation, is to get out of this house and get my kids out of this house and, whatever, right? Like, so if there's an abuse situation, that's different. But, wherever possible, if you can have at least 2 parents in the home, if not freaking grandparents, you know what I mean? The more the better, kids need attention.
Well, I mean, because most of everyone that I known either had like 2 parents, most of them, but the ones that are like single moms or single dads even, they still make a home enough for their kids. Even, not even abuse wise, let's just say. The marriage didn't work out, something happens. Kids grow up, but they're still going to get the attention and the love that they need from a single parent or learn out from society on their own. Because kids are going to watch everything. They're going to watch the neighbors. They're going to watch other kids have, friends and family. And they're going to ask questions. It's just...
They're going to ask a lot of questions.
Yeah. You just be there for them. That's all you can do.
All right. Well, here's the thing: is there's a lot of pain and suffering, and I think that actually is necessary. I think it's part of I think we have to have a survival system. Because if we don't, I think a lot of people lose motivation. They lose a sense of purpose, and so you actually can do a lot of wrong if we don't have competition. So I think we almost need it, but I do think that we should potentially lessen it. So what I was thinking would be interesting in the future, as we move to a world where we can cure disease, as we move to a world where we can, I don't know, like shelter people, right? You have to be careful with sheltering. Sheltering is a prison. We talked about that, right?
Well,
and so there's a balance to be had between protecting people from themselves and empowering them to be free. And what I was wondering is maybe that balance doesn't have to be black and white. Maybe it can be different based on age. So the idea being that up until age 20, 24, you have maybe slightly less freedom, right? So you have, people are going to hate this, but just go with me, right? For a second. It's a thought experiment. I'm not, anyway, whatever.
What's your idea?
Like tracking, right? Or whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah. But the point is that at like age 24, like you get your tracker removed, right? Or whatever. So it's like they clip your tracker and you're set free, right? And you're no longer guaranteed a salary. You're no longer guaranteed an education, right?
You're just describing Blade Runner right now.
Yeah. Is that how? Yeah, it sounds dystopian. I don't know. I was just thinking about it. Anyway, the idea being that you get, it's kind of like Time too. Have you seen the movie Time?
Yeah.
It's but it's an interesting idea of like up until then you're somewhat sheltered, you're somewhat free. You're free to explore the world, right? You're go to parties, socialize, meet friends, learn, study, but you're sort of freed from the burden of survival up until that point. And the idea is it's just kind of like a longer nesting period.
So keeping them safe until they're ready. And
then
how are they ready if they're in the nest all the time?
Yeah, there has to be some sort of a transitional phase, but or they have to be. Yeah, I don't know. There has to be some sort of a transitional phase, but the idea being that we basically guarantee everyone, like you're born with the right to live and be completely, nurtured. Everyone gets 100% nurtured, all their needs met up till like age 24.
But that's the cocoon theory,
Is kind of cocoon.
Yeah.
Well, I want to hear more about that.
Okay.
Actually, let's just go for it.
You want to go for it?
You got the idea, right?
Yeah.
Up till like, and then after that, it's survival of the fittest, 100%.
Okay.
So you're 100% free. You can die if you fuck up. You know what I mean?
Well, you're pretty much doing like the Running Man then.
Yeah.
It's like,
not the Purge per se, but you know what I mean? The idea being that it's just like it's pure capitalism. Like there's no it's capitalism like in its. So it's interesting because it's not, instead of having like a society that's all socialist or all capitalist, it's like half and half. Right? It's like socialist until you're 24 and then pure capitalist after that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
I think your idea is kind of rolling in like the Hunger Games Running Man and the Purge. All in one. No, there's no death.
Saying it to be bad. No. Yeah.
So you're saying that they're sheltered and they have everything provided for them until they turn 24 or so, but then they're released into the open job market. Now, this is what's happening in Japan right now.
Okay.
They have people called hikikomori, which means a shut-in.
Okay.
So young Japanese people are not willing to go out and socialize. They're not willing to go out and, have relationships. They want to have more relationships with digital and items, So they're relying more on a digital girlfriend.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah. And they have an acronym called NEAT, which is not in education or training. So they're NEETs, not in education or training.
So what do they do?
They just stay at home. They play video games.
Okay.
They go out. Yeah.
That's not what I'm thinking. You know what I mean? Like I'm thinking like they still go out and experience the world. That's the whole point, is you're allowed 24 years to experience the world, learn as much as you can.
Okay, so you're like a free pass to go run around.
Yeah, like you have to learn. And in fact, you should be studying during that time. You should be studying. I mean, that's when your brain's developing. Like you should be studying, right? Yeah. But you are not allowed to take employment.
So not even internship.
Yeah, maybe that's a bad idea. But the point is that you're allowed to take employment, but the point is that you're guaranteed it's like universal basic income, but up till you're 24. So you're guaranteed enough money to pay for food, rent. So you can take employment.
Yeah.
And maybe you should, but you're guaranteed income. So if you can't work and you want to focus on your studies, you can.
Yeah, that's normal, like student loans and stuff like that we have now. But you're saying it's guaranteed.
It's guaranteed. You don't have to pay it. You're not saddled with debt when you get out of school.
I get you there.
Yeah,
that's an idea. That's a pretty good idea. You want what I'm picking up from you is that you want the kids to go out and travel the world to learn as much as they can. Yeah. As quickly as I can.
Experience as much life as they can.
Now, I've seen college students do this, where they're like, I want to take a year off and I want to travel.
Yeah.
So they go to Europe, and they backpack. They do whatever, and they try to experience as much as they can. That's a good, I'm totally down with it if they have the money. Now, if they're living off like a trust fund or something like that, trust funders can do this pretty easily.
Okay.
So they're like, oh yeah, I got plenty of money. I'll just take a year off, go out back, go to Australia and wander. And then they come back and like, oh, I had so many life experiences. I met this drunk Australian guy in a river,
Yeah.
And he shot me in the ass.
Yeah.
And you're like,
great.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But he had that experience at least, What if he didn't work though? He never had to work during that whole time. because of the trust fund.
Right.
But you're saying give them the money, but let them not enough to where they're comfortable or over comfortable.
No, I want them to be comfortable.
Okay, but not
up till you're 24.
Yeah.
So even like in other words, you do not have to work to accomplish what you want to eat, explore, experience. Right. I mean, you're not going to get a Ferrari for free.
Well, you're not going to be partying with Ja Rule on a boat.
Right, exactly.
Right.
But you can go see the world, you can eat, you have food, all your basic healthcare needs are taken care of up to 24.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's complete opposite. It's 100% brutal capitalist. You don't work, you don't live, right? Yeah.
Okay, let's say this experiment goes as you say, and you give them the money. But then after, when they turn 24, it comes into like the gladiator thing where they all in the job market, right?
Right.
Once you hit that wave of 24-year-olds hitting the job market immediately, you're going to see an influx of like so much, people just, I'll hire you. You're not good enough. I'll hire you. It's going to turn into the Wall Street. You got to make the sales. You got to do that. So it's going to put a lot of stress on them that they never had before.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So you're saying that mentally they may not be, if we don't give them some exposure to stress at a young age, then they may not be able to cope with the stress at an older age.
You get the hikikomori where they're just like, they get faced with all this new responsibility of being an adult. And they're like, oh my God, I can't take this,
That's the alignment. Okay.
So they recess and they go back to the cocoon, to their parents,
They can't cope with it.
Yeah.
They interesting.
So that's one theory,
So it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work because they literally, their brain has not wired in coping mechanisms for stress.
Yeah, they've never been introduced to a stressful situation during that time. They've had everything given to them. But again, giving is not a bad thing if you do it in the right way, which is what the government's trying to do now. Anyway.
You just have to be able to expose them to some level of stress. Obviously, there's a balance, right? 'Cause,
again, Hunger Games, Running Man, that's stressful for them. Let them play. What are you, 19? I think it's about time.
It's about time you fought for your life.
Yeah. You survived there's your great struggle,
That's really interesting, man. I didn't even think about it. It's, you're right. 100% doesn't work.
But I had an idea too. Let's say utopian future, right?
Okay.
We have nanomachines. We can fix missing limbs. We can fix every disease, So what we do is we start giving every citizen a device. It's like a little round, pocket size, whatever. And what you do, if you're homeless, you put it on the ground and it burrows in and makes a little, like, home. And it provides food, water, shelter. And it's like it's like a little computer-aided AI, like Cortana. And it's like, hey, I'm going to teach you how to live. I'm going to show you mathematics. I'm going to show you how to do, get a skill so you can survive. And it gives you that. And you can get these for like a family of 4 or whoever, right? And it just takes off like the thermal energy from underneath in the earth to power itself. That'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
Teaching is you hit on a really interesting point there, because I've thought about this about like wealth. Like if I were to become wealthy, how do I instill the hunger? Because I'm hungry. Mm-hmm. I want to be Elon Musk. I want it. I need it. I have a thirst. I have a hunger. I crave it. I yearn for it.
That's
I'm
your
up
goal.
All night fighting for it.
Yeah.
Because I'm hungry. Because I've been starving.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I instill that? If I were to achieve that success, what kind of comforts would that bring to my children? Talking about it now, that creates a cocoon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so for the next generation, if you have children and you attain success, how do you instill that hunger in them?
Mm-hmm. How you teach them how to be hungry.
Yeah. And yet on the other hand, you want to pass something on. You want to enable them to be even more powerful than you. So
I shall surpass you.
Yeah, exactly. But you want that. You want them to be able to take your shoulders and rise even higher. But how do you do that without taking away their hunger? Because if you give them your money,
they're not going to...
You've taken away their hunger. And they'll probably just spend your money. And then the next generation after that would be what?
Well,
right?
law. Well, like, so it's an interesting thing with generational stuff that happens. Like, you have the rich family, and they spoiled their kids. You know, they like made the cocoons for them. They never had to work a day in their lives. Then when it comes time for them to work, they kind of struggle and struggle, but they still have that lifeline to their parents, right? So they're kind of taking that money in. Now their children, it's interesting because they can have their own experiences and their own things, and now they're hungry. They're like, I don't want to be handed stuff. I don't want to have this. So it's a natural thing that can come from them, from their experiences.
Yeah.
Like they can get beat up by the neighbor kid, and then they're like, oh, I want revenge, but then they got to think about it, right? It's how we all grow up, how we move forward.
Yeah, so they can't be sheltered, they can't have a cocoon. And it's interesting, I think that's why you get those generational skips.
Yeah.
So they talk about that, he talks about it in Jurassic Park, like, they say talent skips a generation, so I'm sure your grandchildren will be sharp as tacks.
They'll be just good.
Yeah. But I think that is a thing. And I think that some of it happens is you attain wealth and then you shelter your children, or you over and they lose their hunger, but then they lose all their wealth, and the next generation is faced with challenges and regains that hunger, right?
Yeah. But you also can shelter, but not to the point where you're overprotective, Yeah. You can give them the lifeline, you can teach them how to responsibly do things and give them skills, but you just give them...
Well, you hit on it right there. Yeah. I think the one thing that you can pass down safely is knowledge.
That's the only thing you can.
I don't think knowledge robs them of hunger.
No.
So that's where you can, as an adult. And I think I know that some people who have accomplished great wealth, and then they basically they didn't want their children to have a free ticket, so they let their children just kind of figure it out on their own. And they didn't give them any financial assistance. I think I'm okay with not giving them financial assistance, but I think you make a mistake if you're not giving them the knowledge. I think the one thing you should give them is your knowledge.
Well, no,
knowledge should always be given. Yeah, I think
you always persist your knowledge down through the generation. Yeah. That's the most important thing, but not to overlook the importance of when they need help. Not to say this is you being weak. I just lost my job. I don't have enough money. It's not saying you're weak to say here's a little bit of help.
Right.
That's not giving them. It's giving them a little bit of help, but it's not giving them a whole cocoon.
Maybe you shouldn't though. I don't know. I don't know the answer to this question, and really? I don't think that anyone. We're all gonna have to make up our own minds, right? But I wonder if you should help. Obviously, I think that they're in the most extreme cases where if you don't help, it's like a life or death thing. Then you should help because
I'm kind of in the more of the area of like it. If they ask for help, you'll help. Because these are just things you're passing on more knowledge, though. You can still pass knowledge. That's the most important thing. But it's just material things that they need help now for. If they're better off later on, great,
But what happens if something happens to you and they've learned they can lean on you? You know what I mean?
Okay, so reverse it then. Yeah. Something happens to the parents. The children are still in need, though.
Yeah. They've learned that when things get tough, they can always lean on mom and dad, right?
Yeah. Now, if they have that mindset, that's the more cocoon thing, I would say. But if they have the mindset of mom and dad are really struggling, but we're doing okay, let's help them out now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that idea better. But again, there are the families that are like, no, I still need help, and mom and dad are still struggling. So let's take that scenario. Worst case scenario for both.
Right.
They've been laid off. Mom and dad lost their pension or got scammed by the Nigerian prince.
Yep. You know how that happens.
Oh, yeah.
He calls you and he asks for money.
What are your feelings on that?
Well, I'm just saying the kid should have a rehearsed problem solving strategy for how to get out of that situation. So if you have the scenario where the kid's in trouble but the parents can help, if the parents always bail the kid out every time, the kid, then when you do have the worst case scenario where both of them are in trouble, the kid may not have learned the critical survival problem solving skills that they need to get out of that situation. They may just have a nervous breakdown or just give up, or you know what I mean.
And that I've seen that kind of stuff happen too. I mean, like look at the Kennedys, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know anything about the Kennedys.
Well, I mean, so John F. Kennedy and then all his brothers and everything. I mean, God, he was assassinated. His brother was assassinated. Robert Kennedy, he became a drunk. You know, his coping mechanism was drinking. Right? Would you want to drop a bunch of trust fund kids in like Africa and just say survive?
Maybe.
You're like, I'm thinking about it. Get the plane ready.
Addiction. Mm-hmm. Go back to addiction for a little bit here. Transition. Subtle transition.
Got the
to
little
addiction.
Got the little thing of let's all go to the lobby.
Let's all go to the lobby.
Transition.
Let's all go to the lobby.
So with addiction, though,
let's all go to there.
It's all evil. The popcorn starts eating the like. I don't like this movie anymore.
Addiction. Mm-hmm. Addiction. So the thought is this: the brain needs reward. The brain needs things. And so what's interesting with addiction is that they've learned with video games how to make them addicting by putting a perpetual carrot on a stick in front of you, not ever letting you get that reward, just making you always feel as though you're somehow closer to it. Right?
Yes.
Addiction. And that's what causes you to play countless hours on end. You feel like you're progressing towards an objective, but you never really get there. Right?
Now, with video games, the endless carrot one is more of the massively online multiplayer, I would say, because there's no real end.
Right.
Now, single player games, let's say like Horizon Zero Dawn, or that you play for the story.
Right.
Last of Us or anything like that. You have a set goal.
Yes.
That you're learning about the story. Mm-hmm. Those I find acceptable.
Yes.
I also have played MMOs, but that's more of let's play endless dress up,
Right. Yeah, and they had this with binge watching with TV too. They do the same thing where they'll string you along season after season after season, going nowhere. You know what I mean? And they'll cancel the show before you get the end. You know what I mean? You won't ever get your end. So it's a big thing because they've learned how to do addiction. They've learned how to not get you what you want. So what's interesting is I think with addiction is a lot of it is we're looking for something. Oh, no. Okay. That's one aspect of it, right? Mm-hmm. And then the aspect there is just that if you can find an activity or a game or a movie or a series that actually has an end, I think that's healthier. We talked about garbage collection. If you can engage in an activity where not only does it stimulate the rat brain, but it gives you a sense of accomplishment at the end. Mm-hmm. It allows you to come to a close and release, right? That is healthy. It will not make you feel perpetual anxiety or stress like addiction does, right?
Yeah.
But there's another thing where sometimes you can get something that will give you that release artificially. It'll give you that release even though you don't have the accomplishment or the reward.
Yeah. I mean, like the quick fix, yeah.
Like a drug, right? Like you take a drug and it'll give you sort of that endorphin release, but it doesn't necessarily give you that sense of accomplishment or that sense...
No, it's just the pleasure in the moment. Yeah. That's all you're getting.
It's giving you sort of a half satisfaction. So I had this thought, and I wonder if it applies. Sorry, audience. We're going to talk about sex for a second, sex addiction. But I wonder if it applies. An interesting thought, like in intimacy between couples, is if one partner is unsatisfied, they may be actually more sexually
frustrated,
aggressive with their partner. Like they may go after their partner more, even though when they engage with their partner physically, they're not getting satisfied. But ironically, that makes them want their partner more, not less, as opposed to another partner, another pair, right, where they're getting fully satisfied, both of them or one of them or whatever. The partner that gets completion, that gets satisfaction, may then not want for sex as strongly, which is sort of ironically, that's sort of maybe to the disadvantage of the other partner, right? They may not want to engage as much, and it's not because they don't want it. It's because, in fact, they are being satisfied that they don't want to engage as much, right?
Well, okay.
Interesting thought there.
It's an interesting thought, but then case studies have shown that people who have like, they're saying they have sexual addiction. Now, it's not a recognized addiction. It's just saying, oh, I have this, but it's not officially recognized. People that say, I constantly think about it, this much ready, but I'm still giving enough to my partner, right? But they're still looking for other outlets.
Yeah.
And they're always out, they're always...
Well, they're giving enough to their partner, but are they getting enough from their partner?
That's the thing, because they don't have... Think of it like a really deep well, right?
Yeah.
And no matter how much water you pour in there, it's never filling up. So they're always constantly looking for something else to fill that. And that's, again, the thing with addiction. Because even with drugs, they're like, I keep doing the drugs. I feel good for a little bit, but it's not enough. It's never enough. They have to keep going and keep filling. Yeah. So it's just that bottomless pit. And again, with limits, until they find their limit and then say, I need to stop. But I think with drugs, so the thing that I was going to say there with drugs is that, again, it's not fully satisfying the need. That's the thing. And that's why it is addicting. It's only half satisfying the need. Well, it satisfies the need to a point, but then it gives you that hunger, like you know. Yeah. It's not actually solving the need that you need solved, right? No. Like it's not actually... So it sort of satisfies the immediate endorphin rush, but it doesn't actually solve the underlying thing. And so you actually end up craving that more. Mm-hmm. I had a better example, a better analog with like cake or like sweets. So if I get hungry and I'm really hungry and there's no meat or there's no like anything with like a lot of actual like nutrients or proteins lying around, maybe there's some cake. If I eat the cake, especially if it's a more like just like a really just like sugary cake and that's all it is. Yeah. I will notice that like I am not satisfied, right? Like I'll be full. I can eat it till I'm full, but I don't feel satisfied. So I'll want more food, right? And so as a result, I'll end up actually eating more than if I had gone after something that actually satisfied. And so I think this is an interesting theory for drugs. People who suffer from drug addiction, I wonder if what they actually need is something, and if they could find something that is satisfying this need that they have, whatever it is. If they can find something, maybe it's even success. Maybe it's that they're able to actually get real success in their life around something and build up that, wire their brain to learn that whenever they start doing this, they get success. They get people who are like, wow, you're making some awesome stuff right now. Well, that's a lot with drug clinics now. They say the 5 steps. A lot of the drug clinics use the, what is it called? AA, yeah. They say, except, because they're trying to fill it with religion. Right. They're like, make atonement, ask for forgiveness. Is like Alcoholics Anonymous or whatever, are they religious based? A lot of them are. Okay. I've seen a lot of the Alcoholics Anonymous use a lot of the strip, like the Bible, like saying, this is what your 5 steps that you need to do. Or I forget how many steps they actually do, but it's like saying you keep yourself strong, you keep yourself good, but you also need help, So you rely on religion or whatever. There are some that are more, I guess you would say, atheist-based, where it's like, you're a human, you're powerful, you know what to do what you need to do. They kind of push you. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you were born with this, brain. You were born with the strength inside you. Mm-hmm. You don't need this poison because you're a strong individual. Yeah. I think confidence is a huge part of it. Like building up that confidence is huge. It is too. But I think that another thing that you have to have is there is a need there that's not being satisfied. I don't know. This is theory, I guess. So maybe I shouldn't tout this as though I'm an expert. Well, that's the thing. But there are needs, but it's like what made that need, right? Yeah, I don't know. It's all psychological, right? It's like,
Or maybe it's failure, maybe it's inadequacy, maybe it's
it could be
isolation.
as simple as like someone pressuring you. Like, let's say like heroin, right?
Yeah.
They're like, hey, first you're like, hey, I started taking over the counter aspirin, right? And you're like, well, this isn't really helping the pain. So you're like, well, I want to take higher doses, so you start getting more and more higher doses, but the pain keeps coming back. So you're like, well, what's higher than aspirin, So you start doing cocaine or whatever,
Yeah.
and you start spiraling down to where you're just doing the drug to feel a little bit of relief, but not enough. It'd be enough.
Is it hopelessness? Do you not feel like you can get that release? Is a little bit, we talk about the nervous breakdown. Is it a little bit that where you've sort of like,
it partially is because
you've given up?
You're not getting any reward. You're always in either pain or sorrow or depression.
And this gives you something of a reward?
As a temporary release.
Illusion of reward. Yeah. Temporary release. So I think so. It's that you're not getting a reward. You're working hard, or you feel like you're working hard, but maybe no one has guided you. No one has given you the direction or the instruction that you need. So you're putting way more energy in than most people are, and you're not getting any reward, while other people are putting in very little energy and getting massive returns. And so you have this gap where you're not able to accomplish success. Maybe that's in love, maybe that it's in work, I don't know. But you're not able to achieve anything or enough. And this drug, you then you go to the hospital, whatever, and this drug for a moment gives you that release. You know what I mean?
For the momentary thing, but once that's over, you're going to want it more.
Yeah.
Because it builds up,
Well, because then you still want that release, and you don't see any other way to get that release, right? Like that. Whereas if you've been guided, if you've been counseled, you know what I mean? If you were fortunate enough to have parents who were not only well off, successful, but knew how to educate you, knew how to make you hungry, but also pass on their knowledge.
Yeah.
So that success comes moderately easy to you, then it may be easier for you and less time consuming to put your energy into something that'll give you actual success. That's not a drug. And so to you, drugs may not ever be a problem. Because you know how to get that endorphin release naturally, the way that you're healthily supposed to. Your brain's wired correctly.
Yeah.
Whereas with someone else, they haven't been brought up that way. And, they don't know that they can rewire.
It's hard to rewire someone who's been so hardwired into, a habit.
Yeah. It takes a lot.
I'll share
but it's not impossible.
No, it's not impossible, but it's hard.
Yeah.
So like, take me, for example, my dad smoked. My mom also smoked. I've had friends who smoked, but I've never had the inclination to start or even attempt it. We've had like little things here and there where it's like, here's a Swisher Sweet.
Here's a what?
Here's a Swisher Sweet, like a cigar.
Okay.
So, no, Swisher Sweets are very bad. They're flavored cigars like cherry.
Okay.
Yeah, and they burn like hell.
Sounds like a good time.
Oh, it's the best. Like, if you want your lips to know what it's like to be beef jerky on the grill, get a Swisher Sweet.
All right.
But, so, I've done that kind of stuff, but going to get a pack of cigarettes or anything like that, I've had no desire to do that.
Yeah.
Because I've seen my family do it. I've seen, other people do it. And I'm like, I really don't want to do that.
Dude, that's awesome.
I'm just kind of hardwired that way. But then, there's other vices out there too. Video games.
I was addicted to video games for a long time.
Yeah.
World of Warcraft specifically. There's some great people at Blizzard, you know what I mean? I know this. And I know that they mean well with their games, but I do believe that World of Warcraft is designed, for better or worse, at least it used to be, maybe, I think it still is, to drive you back using addictive
tactics.
And it is hurting people.
It's always the carrot on the stick, because you always, like, oh, look, we released this whatever new set of armor, right? 5 different colors. but you got to run the thing like 20 times.
Yeah.
And you don't have a chance. It's all, again, gambling, RNG, right? Like the loot boxes were like actually contested in the UK.
Yeah.
So
because you can't just get what you want. It becomes a carrot on a stick. Mm-hmm. You want something in the game, you can't just get it or earn it. There's not like a fixed amount of time and then you accomplish it.
Yeah.
You don't know how long it's going to take you to get it. You have to play and roll and play and roll. And each roll gives you a little bit of an endorphin release, but it's not exactly what you want.
Yeah.
It keeps you coming back. So the cure for addiction, then the theory behind that is that if you can find what it is that you need, if you can find what it is that you want, and probably it's success or some sense of accomplishment.
Because every person is different, I say, it might not be success. It might just be finding someone to love, someone to actually say,
love.
Hey, I know what you're going through. Or
it might be nourishment. I don't know. It could be, But there's something that you need.
It's just the end thing that you want. They call it chasing the dragon.
Okay.
For for like heroin.
Yeah.
Because you're always trying to get that dragon. You're always trying to capture him. But yeah. You remember that South Park where it's like virtual reality heroin addiction and Randy's sitting on the couch and he's just, it's just the video of him, like the character is shooting heroin and chasing a dragon. And he's just sitting there going, did the check come in from the government yet? What do you do?
So horrible.
I know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But you're saying find that satisfaction.
Find that satisfaction.
Or at least
a healthy...
identify it.
If you can identify it, try to identify it. Because if you can identify what it is that you really need, that you're not getting, and then see if you can find help learning how to get it. And if you can get it, and then keep getting it, and wire your brain into learning that it's easier, develop the skills that you need and the conditioning to be like, I can get this, I can be successful, I can find love. I know how to engage with people now where I didn't before.
Yeah.
Or I know I can find success, right? If you can find a pathway there, then I think that you can eliminate the void that you're trying to fill.
Yeah.
I don't know. But this is just thoughts.
Think of my little utopian thing where you put it on the ground and makes a home and everything, and it's like an AI. Now, if the AI was trained in psychology and had the programs to help people with their problems, so
let's hold up a mirror.
Even that, but it's like, so this hologram AI is like even helping them prepare meals. It's helping them get food. So nanomachines make food, whatever, Star Trek times.
Yeah.
So you get medical care, you get food, you get shelter, and you get treatment, all for free. And you learn these skills and you become back into society. You get that satisfaction at the end. It helps you identify what you're missing and what you need to do. So we need to make more AI, and then we're all dependent on Skynet again. Let's go bowling.
I think it's interesting. I had this thought the other day. They were saying that AR glasses are the next step in computing, right? So there was this thing that was saying, I can't remember the reference. Anyway, they were saying that we have all these things, right? Like desktop computers, laptops, VR glasses. And I realized Neuralink is the next one.
That we're going to
jump in. VR glasses are here now-ish, right? Like maybe within 10 years they'll be here they'll be mature. They'll be like, you'll be wearing a pair of sunglasses all the time. But the next step, of course, is going to be Neuralink and or things, technology like it.
Yeah.
And
we're going cyberpunk.
Yeah. It's coming. It's coming. Be prepared.
Scar.
Yeah.
Mechanical Scar.
Yeah.
He's got the mechanical like half face and cyberpunk.
I'm going to see real quick if there's anything else that I want to talk about. I mean, those are kind of like the main things. Definitely want to talk about like the addiction thing, the nest theory. I wanted to talk about masks again, but I'm going to spare the audience this week. We're going to not talk about masks this week.
We kind of covered that a lot. Anyway.
We went into it pretty heavily last week. I think that's it, man. I think that's all I had for this week. So,
implant the 5G into your brain.
Yeah.
Get it right in there. Levels your
Are
blood.
you gonna get one?
What?
Neuralink.
Neuralink? I probably wouldn't be able to afford it.
when you can afford it, because I'd imagine they'll eventually come down in price.
If it, is like the wave of the future, like Ghost in the Shell did that.
I think eventually it'll be, because they're saying that he wants to get the price down near LASIK. LASIK's like 2,000.
2,000.
Which, I mean, that's a lot, but I mean, how much did you spend on your computer?
That's true. You think about that. You're like, hey, I bought this computer for what, $1,500?
Right.
I didn't have to use my health savings account for that shit either.
Right. I mean, it's something, if you need it and want it bad enough, 1,500 is in the range of, if you need it bad enough, you might be able to make that work. You know what I mean?
I need a new 3080 video card, so I'm going to use my health savings account and just see if that goes through.
It's for my health.
Yeah. Blood sugar.
Yeah.
Lots of blood sugar.
I'm tired now, guys.
Sleepy.
I think I am. I think I'm done. I don't think I have the energy to carry this show any further unless we were to like maybe take a meditative session or something like that.
Whatever you want to do, if you're good.
44 hertz. I want all of us to download from the sun. Soul.
Oh, I was going to tell you. Did you hear about the people shooting at like telephone or antenna technicians doing work on
5G?
Yeah, like a lady
People
in
are
Kansas
freaked out about it.
took shots at them.
I was at first because I was looking at the spectrum that they were using for 5G, and I think I misread it. I don't know. Anyway, it looked like part of the spectrum they were going to be using for 5G was in the ionizing frequency range.
Ooh.
And I was like, are you kidding me? You know what I mean? You're going to be using ionizing frequencies? No, thank you. You know what I mean?
Well,
that's like above UV, or you know what I mean, or like ultra blue or something. Like it was in like that upper intense range where like technically that can cause cancer. You know what I mean? And so they say microwaves can. I don't know that I believe it. My understanding is if it's not ionizing radiation.
Well, the thing about radiation is like you're still okay if you're irradiated. I mean, you can eat irradiated food as long as it's not like taking the actual.
Well, bananas, right? They have potassium. No, what is it in bananas?
It's potassium.
Is it potassium? Yeah.
Apples have cyanide in the seeds.
It's good for you.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
You just eat the whole apple.
Yeah, just shove it in there. Yeah. So,
but I just find it interesting that people are freaked out so much that they're willing to take, their guns.
We are electromagnetically sensitive, though, and I do worry about it a little bit.
I've been through MRIs so many times, I should be like dead. But
what they're non-ionizing, right? MRIs, they're microwaves, right?
I mean,
or are they?
They are kind of like a microwave because you can't have metal around them, and if you have metal in your body, you kind of go jiffy pop.
That sounds good.
Oh yeah. Does he have any metal? No, not that I know of. And you go in there and all of a sudden. Yeah.
Do not put metal in a microwave. I learned that the hard way.
Did you put like a whole
some sort of aluminum foil? No, it was a fork. I think it was a fork.
Oh
yeah. I don't remember when I was a kid. You know what I mean?
And then you started seeing sparks.
Some electric show. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Just up against the window. It's sparking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is though. I think it is, right? It's microwaves or millimeter waves or something. Like it's not sub visual. Not
It's not a microwave to microwave the atom, like move the water molecules. That's it. It's just to magnify. I guess they do it in sections and slices. It's loud as shit. I know that.
I don't know, man. But yeah, I do know, like, I think it's interesting. Supposedly they've done some studies and we do have some capacity in theory. Mm-hmm. We have some capacity to detect magnetic north.
In some way, I do believe that as humans we can, because you ask which way is north and they can usually point. Birds have it.
Birds definitely have it. They were saying sharks can fly in straight lines through the ocean.
Yeah. Like they just follow the magnetic ley line or ways. It's going to be messed up if the polar things flip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sharks will get effed.
Oh,
yeah.
Sharks, birds, us.
Yeah.
You just have the north that goes. Normally, you would say that's north, right? But then it goes that way.
That'd be trippy.
Every like 5,000 years, I see.
The thing is birds have to have survived this before, right? So they must have some mechanism for coping with it when it happens.
They just. What happens with birds? They just fly and then they stop midair and float, and then they reset. They're like, okay, that way.
yeah. Okay.
That or they explode and then they just reconstitute somehow. When that happens, that's going to be messed up. Or if we get hit by a solar flare, that's the other thing. Solar flare messes everything up. Electronics go.
I want to not have 5G.
You don't want 5G?
I don't know, man. I do worry about it. I don't know. Because, I mean, microwaves are only damaging at a certain intensity, but if we continue to pack on the intensity of microwaves, I don't know.
I maybe worry about like 12G.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because that's like the force of a nuclear blast coming around.
12G is...
Oh my God, my internet's so fast, and then just the shockwave.
Yeah. This website's downloading so quick.
Look at it. I could watch Black Panther in 12 seconds. No, I don't buy into the whole... Because I saw some of the videos and they're like, you know why we're putting the 5G in? Because we need more hospitals. And it's like, what?
I'm excited for satellite internet for Elon Musk's SpaceX. I think I might
free
get
internet,
that.
Right?
Well, just the ability to have internet anywhere would be cool. It'd be cool if you could have like something in your car. You could, like go camping.
You have satellite in your car already.
Yes, it'd be cool if you had like satellite internet in your car.
Oh, I get you. Okay, sorry. I was like, you have Sirius, right?
Like a gigabit per second, like up and down. You know what I mean?
You could play Doom.
Play Doom
on your Tesla.
Yeah.
Hey, I gotta take a right turn.
Yeah.
No, okay. I've seen so many things about the automatic Tesla thing and people doing stupid shit.
They're pretty good though. I mean, I'm excited.
Do you? What's that future? iRobot, where the cars just drive themselves. Just have that.
I am worried. I saw something saying that Uber is going to be working with Russia, with a Russian company, to develop their self-driving technologies. You know what I mean? So I am worried about like foreign companies
doing
testing automated vehicles on American dimes. Really, we're funding it. Right?
Yeah.
We're bankrolling it, right? Because basically, all the Uber drivers are paying Uber for the autonomous rides, which is then basically going to a foreign company's AI division, right? Which is interesting to think about.
Yeah. Okay, here's a question. How do you feel about charity like development? Now, this is developers who contribute their time to a project, let's say curing cancer, autonomous driving, and they develop this technology here, but they do it for free.
Wait, say that again?
Okay, like you take a portion of your time to work on a development project just a little bit at a time. And it's like a big pool of other developers. But you're not getting paid for it. It's just charity work.
Okay.
So like say
it's open source software, right?
It is open source, but I mean it's like a mandatory thing now.
Oh, like if a company, it'd be nice if companies did that, right? Like,
yeah.
Like if your Fridays, you need to go work on open source software.
Yeah, it's kind of like the surf and the Lord thing. You know, like on certain days you work for me for free, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Slaves.
Yeah. We're pretty much slaves, but just extra steps.
Dude, I'm done. I'm spent.
You hit your wall.
I hit the
That's
wall.
your limit.
That's my limit. 1 hour on Splayed. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, I'm gonna get up. I'll sit up straight for this for you guys.
I'm here. Hang on.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has been Splayed. I want you guys to have a chill ass week. This has been
an episode. And
yeah, just smash that like button, smash subscribe.
Yeah.
And then, we'll see you back next week. I don't know what the topic is. You have any ideas?
Let's say
sex. The next week's topic is
insect sex.
Insect sex. Just tune in next week. It won't be. I promise. It won't be insect sex. Promise.
The mating habits of the African spiders.
Bye.
Bye.